here today harvesting burdock, a spring harvest, and I've dug up a few here. This is what they look like. Gonna get going here, digging some up. Gonna take it home and make some things out of them, some medicine. And I think I'm just going to eat some. They have a really thick root. And they put off these burrs that get all over the place, stuck to everything. I even got a bunch in my hair, like a burdock crown. Let's see, here we go. Here's some worms. We'll leave those guys there. Just gonna take these home and clean them up. They're a biennial plant, which means they live for 2 years, and in the second year they shoot the stalk up. So this is the perfect time to pick these, are in the spring or fall. Hello, thanks for joining in. I am making a burdock root tincture. The springtime, early spring and late fall are great times to collect burdock. It's early spring. So I went out yesterday and I collected these burdock roots, been scrubbing them up. They take quite a bit of scrubbing. You could peel them if you wanted, and I am saving these to cook for dinner tonight, so I may peel these. But these other roots I have scrubbed really well, and then we're making a fresh root tincture using 100 proof vodka. I follow mainly the tincture method making of Susan Weed, which brings me to this. I wanted to talk about this book here because it has an excellent chapter on burdock. And if you don't own this book, it is a great resource book to have. There's recipes for burdock root and all kinds of things, so I highly recommend it. In fact, in the used section of Amazon, you can probably pick one up for very cheap, or if you want to give her all the money, you would have to Google Wise Woman Bookshop. She also has a YouTube channel. Anyway, I have chopped up my burdock roots and I have put them in my food processor and processed them that way. I feel that will be a good way to dry the burdock root and for the fresh tincture. So I'm going to make a ½ gallon of burdock tincture. I have that here. Just gonna put this in. It's really simple to make your own tinctures, and I like to do that. I also sell tinctures as well. Alrighty. I generally fill about 3/4 full with fresh plant material. But since I have the burdock, I will go ahead and put more in. So what I've been doing is just chopping the burdock. So it has a little extra I don't know, so it's easier in the food processor. Chop it up nice and coarse. I don't know how well this would work in the blender if you didn't have a food processor, but I find for a lot of herbal medicine making and wild food preparation, I really like having a food processor. So it might be something worth investing in if you want to make this your lifelong journey. All right, so I've chopped up all my fresh burdock root. I'm going to step over to the food processor now, and I will be right back. So that is how quickly this all came together. And I really like how chopped up it is. So get your jar, continue filling. I love to drink burdock root nourishing herbal infusions, so I'm going to dry the rest of this on screens for infusions. So now I have my clean glass jar filled up with this chopped fresh burdock. I then take the 100 proof vodka and pour that over. I've just filled this up with the 100 proof vodka. It took about 1.5 bottles here. That will depend somewhat on how much fresh plant material you have in there, but I always get a couple of bottles, that way you have enough. I'm going to use a plastic lid. I like to use the plastic lids for tincture making, but you can, put a little wax paper and then the metal cap too. That works just fine. Once you fill up with the vodka and cap, I shake it up a little bit. It's already starting to turn nice and brown. You will get a sort of thick, creamy, whitish colored substance in here that is called inulin. And inulin is a good thing to have on your fresh root tinctures and vinegars. So anyway, next we move on to labeling. Very important to label your tincture. So this is a fresh burdock root tincture. It's 100 proof, so I go ahead and write that on there. And then the date. Today is the last day of April 30th, 2019. And get that on there. So that is labeled up there very nicely, and I am going to put this in the pantry. Keep it in a dark spot for at least 6 weeks, possibly longer. I usually let my tinctures go longer than 6 weeks, but 6 weeks is kind of the standard. And after that, I will strain and put in dropper bottles. And there you have it. How to make burdock root tincture. With the rest of the processed burdock that I ground up in the food processor, I spread that out on a screen to dry. And once that's dry, I'll put that in a jar and I will make my nourishing herbal infusions out of my dried burdock. And a nourishing herbal infusion is made by weighing out in a quart jar. This has orange peel in it for soap making. But so you weigh out in your quart jar 1 ounce of dried plant material, nutritive herbs. Weigh that out, pour boiling water over it, cap it, and let it sit for 4 hours or overnight, and then strain it and enjoy. Burdock root is so tasty and it's so nutritive. You just drink the burdock root infusion and it's like your whole body says, yes, give me more. And so that's what I do. I place my clean, empty glass jar on my scale. I zero it out. I put in 1 ounce dried burdock root, pour boiling water over it, and in 4 hours or the next morning, I strain it and drink it. So I will go ahead and grab the camera, and then I will take you over to my screens so I can show you. I'll try not to be all jittery here. So I have this screen. I have it just propped up on some bricks there, so there's airflow underneath, and there is the food processor whipped up burdock root, and gonna let that dry. And then I will store that in just a gallon glass jar and save it for the infusion making. Thanks for joining in. There's a sleepy little boy. Isn't he cute? Yes, he is.